Captain Hyunwoo checked his cargo manifest for the third time that day. The numbers had to be perfect. One mistake in the trade logs and the Vorthon inspectors would find an excuse to seize his ship. His vessel, the Silver Current, was not much to look at. The hull showed years of wear from countless jumps between star systems. But she was his home, and she kept him free. Station Kepler-7 buzzed with activity around him. Traders from dozens of worlds filled the massive trading floors. The Rilani merchants clicked their claws as they argued over metal prices. The large Thurok moved their heavy cargo with mechanical suits. Even a few of the bird-like Zephyri had come to trade their rare crystals. Hyunwoo walked through the crowds toward Docking Bay 12. His next customer waited there. A Vorthan trade official named Kexmar wanted to buy food supplies for the mining colonies. Hyunwoo did not like dealing with the Vorthans, but their credits were real. In this galaxy, you took what work you could get. The Vorthan stood 7 feet tall with gray skin and 4 arms. His military uniform was clean and pressed. 2 smaller Vorthan guards flanked him. They carried energy weapons that could cut through metal. Captain Hyunwoo, Kexmar said in his deep voice, "I trust you have the grain shipments we discussed." 5,000 tons of processed grain from New Harvest, Hyunwoo replied. "Fresh and ready for transport," Kexmar nodded. "The mining worlds need food. The slaves work better when fed properly." Hyunwoo kept his face blank. The Vorthons had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They turned conquered worlds into slave colonies. Most people accepted this as the way things were. Fighting back only brought death. As they talked business, alarms began to sound throughout the station. The lights flashed red. An announcement echoed through the corridors. All ships maintained current positions. Unknown vessel approaching the system. Hyunwoo looked at his wrist display. The small screen showed the station's sensor data. Something big was coming out of hyperspace near the edge of the system. The energy readings made no sense. Whatever it was larger than anything he had ever seen. Kexmar frowned. "Pirates?" he asked. "Too big for pirates," Hyunwoo said. "Way too big." They moved to the observation deck. Other traders and officials gathered at the large windows. Outside, space looked normal. Stars dotted the black void. The gas giant Kepler-7b hung in the distance like a blue and white marble. Then it appeared. A ship dropped out of hyperspace like a knife cutting through reality. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The hull was white and silver, shaped like a sword blade. Strange designs covered its surface. Energy flowed along the hull in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "By the void," someone whispered. "What is that thing?" The ship was massive. Hyunwoo had seen Vorthon dreadnoughts before. This vessel made them look like toys. It moved with grace despite its size. The engines glowed with blue fire. Station Control tried to contact the unknown ship. "Unknown vessel, this is Station Kepler-7. Please identify yourself and state your purpose." Silence filled the comm channels for long moments. Then a voice answered. It was clear and calm, speaking perfect galactic standard. "Station Kepler-7, this is the UES Indomitable. We come in peace." Murmurs spread through the crowd on the observation deck. UES meant nothing to most people. But Hyunwoo felt something cold in his stomach. Those letters sounded familiar. Very familiar. Kexmar stepped forward. His 4 arms gestured wildly. "Unknown vessel, you will submit to inspection by Vorthon authority." "Prepare to be boarded." The response came quickly. "We decline." "You decline." Kexmar's voice rose. "You dare refuse the Galactic Council?" "The Vorthon Empire commands this system." "We know exactly who commands this system," the voice replied. "We have been watching for a very long time." More Vorthon ships began moving in the system. 3 patrol cruisers changed course toward the unknown vessel. Their weapons powered up. Red targeting beams reached across space. Hyunwoo grabbed his personal comm unit. "Dongmin, are you monitoring this?" His friend's voice crackled through the device. Dongmin worked in the station's sensor control room. "Hyunwoo, you need to see these readings. That ship, its technology is impossible. The power output alone should tear the hull apart." "What kind of ship is it?" "I don't know." "But Hyunwoo." The computer found something in the old archives. UES stands for United Earthship. The words hit Hyunwoo like a physical blow. United Earthship. Human. Everyone knew the story. Humans had lived in this galaxy long ago. They were supposed to be a peaceful people who loved art and science. Then the Vorthons came. The Great Purge happened 3,000 years ago. Every human world was burned. Every human ship was destroyed. The species was wiped out completely, or so everyone believed. The human ship moved closer to the station. It ignored the Vorthan patrol ships completely. The cruisers fired warning shots. Bright energy beams lanced through space. The shots should have forced any ship to stop. The beams hit the human vessel and simply vanished. The ship's shields absorbed the energy like water soaking into sand. The Indomitable kept moving. Impossible, Kexmar breathed. Our weapons are the most advanced in the galaxy. Station Control tried again. UES Indomitable, this is Station Director Yunsik. May we ask your intentions? We request permission to dock, came the reply. We have much to discuss with the people of this station. Director Yunsik was a small man who usually avoided trouble, but even he could see this was bigger than normal politics. Permission granted. Docking Bay 1 is cleared for your arrival. Kexmar turned red with anger. You cannot allow this. They refuse Vorthon authority. This is a neutral trading station, Yunsik replied firmly. All peaceful ships are welcome here. The human ship moved toward the station with impossible grace. As it came closer, people could see more details. The hull was covered in strange symbols. Weapon ports lined the sides, but they remained closed. The ship looked built for war, but it showed no aggression. Hyunwoo watched in amazement. In his 40 years of trading, he had never seen anything like this. The ship was clearly more advanced than anything in known space. Yet it claimed to be human. How was that possible? Kexmar activated his comm unit. This is Trade Official Kexmar to Vorthon Command. We have a situation at Station Kepler 7. Unknown vessel claims to be human, requesting immediate military support. The reply came within minutes. Admiral Tae-hyun is en route with the 3rd Fleet. Maintain surveillance. Do not allow the vessel to leave. Hyunwoo looked at his fellow traders. Fear and excitement mixed in their faces. Some saw opportunity. Others saw danger. The Vorthons would not let this pass without a fight. The Indomitable reached Docking Bay 1. Mechanical arms reached out to secure the massive ship. The docking process took twice as long as normal due to the vessel's size. Then the airlock opened. A figure stepped onto the station. It was clearly human in shape but wore a uniform unlike anything in the galaxy. The material seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. The person removed their helmet to reveal a human face. It was a woman with short black hair and dark eyes. She looked exactly like the humans in old historical records. But she moved with confidence and purpose. This was no lost refugee. She spoke to the waiting crowd. I am Commander So-min of the United Earth Fleet. We bring greetings from humanity to our galactic neighbors. Silence filled the docking bay. Then someone laughed. Then another person. Soon half the crowd was laughing or crying or both. Humans were real. Humans were alive. And they had returned to the galaxy after 3,000 years. Commander So-min waited for the noise to die down. When she spoke again, her words carried across the station like thunder. We have much to discuss. The diplomatic chambers of Station Kepler 7 had never seen such a gathering. Representatives from 12 different species sat around the large oval table. Commander So-min sat at one end, her calm presence filling the room. Her uniform still shifted like liquid metal, adapting to the lighting and temperature. Captain Hyunwoo found himself sitting with the other independent traders. Nobody had asked them to be there, but nobody told them to leave either. The whole galaxy wanted to know what the humans had to say. Ambassador Ji-hoon from the Free Colonies spoke first. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Commander So-min, if I may ask, how many humans are alive? So-min smiled slightly. More than you might expect. Fewer than we once were. Kexmar slammed one of his 4 hands on the table. This is meaningless talk. Where have you been hiding? Why return now? We have not been hiding, So-min replied. We have been watching, learning, preparing. The Rilani delegate, a insect-like creature named Click-7, made rapid clicking sounds. The translation device spoke for her. The records show humans were destroyed completely. All worlds burned. All ships lost, So-min nodded. The Vorthan Empire did destroy our worlds. Billions of humans died in the Great Purge, but not all of us lived on planets. Some of our people were exploring the galactic rim when the attacks began. She touched a control on her wrist. A holographic display appeared above the table. It showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked former human colonies. All were in the inner systems where most civilizations lived. These were our lost worlds, Somin said. But here. The display zoomed out to show the galaxy's edge. New blue dots appeared in the dark space beyond known systems. Here we survived. Hyunwoo stared at the display. There were dozens of blue dots. Maybe hundreds. You built new worlds out there? We built something better than worlds, Somin said. We built a future. Admiral Taehyun entered the chamber at that moment. The Vorthon military leader was massive even by his species standards. His dress uniform was covered in medals. 2 rows of guards followed him. This meeting is over, Taehyun announced. The human will come with us for questioning. Somin did not move from her chair. I decline. Taehyun's face darkened. You decline? I am Admiral of the Third Fleet. You will obey Galactic Council authority. The Galactic Council, Somin said quietly, is not what it claims to be. We have watched you for 3,000 years. We know what you really are. Ji-hoon leaned forward. What do you mean? Somin stood up slowly. The lights in the room seemed to dim around her. The Galactic Council is a lie. The Vorthons control everything. They decide which worlds live and which worlds die. They turn free peoples into slaves. They call it order, but it is tyranny. Lies, Taehyun roared. We brought peace to the galaxy. You brought fear, Somin replied. You rule through planet-killer weapons and slave armies. That is not peace. That is oppression. The other delegates looked uncomfortable. Everyone knew the truth, but nobody dared speak it. The Vorthons had the largest fleet, the most advanced weapons, and the will to use them. Click 7 made nervous clicking sounds. The council maintained stability. Without central authority, there would be chaos. Would there? Somin asked. Or would there be freedom? She touched her wrist control again. The holographic display changed. Now it showed trade routes, military movements, and resource flows. Every line led back to Vorthon space. Look at your galaxy, Somin said. Really look at it. 80% of all trade goes to Vorthon worlds. They take the best resources and leave scraps for everyone else. Free colonies are only free until the Vorthons want something they have. Hyunwoo felt his stomach tighten. She was right, of course. Every independent trader knew it. You could never really be free while the Vorthons controlled the shipping lanes. Ji-hoon spoke carefully. Even if what you say is true, the Vorthon fleet is vast. No single world can stand against them. No single world, Somin agreed. But we are not a single world. The display changed again. This time it showed fleet movements in the outer rim. Hundreds of ships moved between the blue dots. The vessels looked similar to the Indomitable, sleek, advanced, and clearly built for war. Taehyun stared at the display. Impossible. Our scouts monitor all shipping in that region. Your scouts see what we allow them to see, Somin said. We have been patient. We have been careful. But patience has limits. A junior officer rushed into the chamber. He whispered something to Taehyun. The Admiral's face went pale. What is it? Kexmar demanded. Taehyun looked around the room. Long-range sensors have detected multiple hyperspace signatures approaching the system. Large vessels. Unknown configuration. Somin smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. Those would be my colleagues. I told them I might need backup. The station's alert system activated. Director Yoon-sik's voice echoed through the corridors. All ships prepare for possible combat situations. Civilian vessels move to safe distance. Hyunwoo stood up. I should get to my ship. Stay, Somin said. You may want to see this. More Vorthon officers entered the chamber. They brought data tablets and whispered urgently with Taehyun. The Admiral's confidence was disappearing quickly. How many ships? Ji-hoon asked. Enough, Somin replied. The main display screen in the chamber flickered to life. It showed the space around station Kepler 7. The 3 Vorthon patrol cruisers hung in space near the station. Then new contacts appeared. Human ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. They looked identical to the Indomitable. White and silver hulls, flowing energy patterns, weapons ports closed but ready. There were 12 of them. Taehyun activated his comm unit. All Vorthon vessels, this is Admiral Taehyun. Prepare for combat. Admiral, Somin said calmly. I suggest you reconsider. 3 cruisers against 12 ships, the Admiral growled. Poor odds, but we have faced worse. Somin touched her wrist control. The tactical display zoomed in on one of the human vessels. Energy readings appeared next to the ship. Hyunwoo's eyes widened. The power output was impossible. "Admiral," Somin said, "one of our ships generates more energy than your entire fleet. Our smallest weapons could cut your dreadnoughts in half. Our shields could stop planet-killer beams." She paused to let that sink in. "We do not want to fight you, but we will if you force us to." Taehyun looked at the energy readings. His tactical officers were shaking their heads in disbelief. The numbers did not make sense. Click 7 made rapid clicking sounds. "How is such technology possible?" 3,000 years, Somin replied. 3,000 years of growth, learning, and advancement. While you fought over scraps of the old empire, we built something new. Jihoon leaned back in his chair. "What do you want from us?" "We want nothing from you," Somin said. "We want something for you. We want you to be free." The chamber fell silent. The word free hung in the air like a challenge. Kexmar laughed harshly. "Free? The galaxy has been free for 3,000 years. Has it?" Somin asked. "When did the Rilani last choose their own trade partners? When did the free colonies last expand without asking Vorthon permission? When did anyone in this room last make a decision without considering how the Empire would react?" Nobody answered. Somin walked to the large window overlooking space. The human fleet waited in perfect formation. "We learned something important during our exile. True strength is not about having the biggest weapons or the most ships. True strength is about protecting what matters." She turned back to face the room. 3,000 years ago, the Vorthons destroyed our worlds because we were weak. Today we return because we are strong. Strong enough to protect ourselves. Strong enough to protect others. Taehyun tried one more time. "The Galactic Council will never accept human independence. We have laws. We have order. Your laws protect only the strong," Somin replied. "Your order serves only the Empire. That ends now." She activated her comm unit. "Indomitable to all human vessels. Diplomatic protocols remain in effect. Weapons cold, shields ready." The human ships moved slightly, forming a protective barrier around Station Kepler 7. The Vorthon cruisers found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. Jihoon stood up slowly. "Commander Somin, what happens now?" Somin smiled again. "Now we talk. Really talk. About what this galaxy could become if people were truly free to choose their own path." She looked directly at Hyunwoo. "Captain, you know the trade routes better than anyone. Tell me, what would happen if those routes were open to everyone? If no one power controlled the shipping lanes?" Hyunwoo thought about it. "Prosperity," he said finally. "Real prosperity for everyone." "Exactly," Somin said. "That is what we offer. Not conquest. Not another empire. Just the chance for everyone to reach their potential." Outside the window, the human ships waited like silent guardians. Inside the chamber, the galaxy's representatives sat in stunned silence. The age of Vorthon dominance was ending. The age of freedom was about to begin. The asteroid field near Kepler 7 had always been a quiet place. Miners came here sometimes to dig for rare metals. Pirates used it to hide from patrol ships. Today it would become the site of the most important battle in galactic history. Captain Hyunwoo watched from the silver current as the Vorthon Third Fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 50 massive dreadnoughts appeared in perfect formation. Each ship was 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons. The fleet had enough firepower to crack planets. Admiral Taehyun's voice boomed across all communication channels. "Attention, illegal human vessels. You are in violation of Galactic Council law. Surrender immediately or face destruction." The human ships had moved to the asteroid field an hour earlier. Commander Somin said they wanted open space for what comes next. Now Hyunwoo understood why. Only one human ship waited in the field. The UES Indomitable hung motionless among the floating rocks. It looked tiny compared to the massive Vorthon fleet approaching it. "This is madness," Dongmin said over the comm. He was monitoring the battle from Station Kepler 7. One ship against 50. Even human technology has limits, Hyunwoo was not so sure. He had seen the energy readings from the human vessels. Nothing in known space came close to their power output. Commander Somin's voice came over the open channel. It was calm and steady. "Admiral Taehyun, this is your final warning. Turn your fleet around and leave this system. We do not want to hurt anyone," Taehyun laughed. "You threaten me? One ship against the might of the Empire? You humans learned nothing from your destruction?" "We learned everything from our destruction," Somin replied. "That is why you will lose." The Vorthon fleet spread into attack formation. Energy weapons powered up across 50 ships. Targeting systems locked onto the lone human vessel. The space around the Indomitable lit up with red laser sights. "Fire!" Taehyun commanded. Hell erupted in space. 50 dreadnoughts fired at once. Energy beams thick as starship hulls lanced through the void. Missile swarms streaked toward their target. The combined firepower could have vaporized a moon. The beam struck the Indomitable and vanished. Hyunwoo stared in shock. The human ship's shields had absorbed every shot without even flickering. The missiles hit the barrier and simply ceased to exist. "Impossible," someone whispered over the comm channels. The Indomitable began to move. It accelerated toward the Vorthon fleet with impossible grace. "No ship that size should be able to move so fast. All ships, focus fire," Taehyun ordered. Continuous bombardment. The Vorthon fleet poured everything they had at the approaching human ship. Energy weapons fired until their barrels glowed red-hot. Missile tubes emptied their entire loads. The space between the fleets became a wall of deadly light. The Indomitable flew through, it all like it was flying through empty space. Then the human ship began to return fire. The first Vorthon dreadnought simply vanished. One moment it was there, firing its weapons. The next moment it was gone. No explosion, no debris, just empty space where a 2-kilometer warship used to be. What happened to the Crusher? Someone screamed over the comm. The second ship lasted longer. A beam of blue light touched its hull for just a second. The entire vessel turned to dust. Hyunwoo had seen many space battles in his years as a trader. He had never seen anything like this. The human weapons did not just destroy enemy ships. They erased them completely. The Vorthon fleet began to break formation. Ships scattered in all directions, trying to escape the impossible enemy. It did not help. The Indomitable moved between them like a dancer, its weapons reaching out to touch ship after ship. "All vessels retreat," Taehyun commanded. "Fall back to minimum safe distance." But there was no safe distance. The human ship's weapons had range beyond anything in the known galaxy. Blue beams reached across millions of kilometers to find fleeing Vorthon vessels. In less than 30 minutes, 47 of the 50 dreadnoughts were gone. The remaining 3 ships hung dead in space, their engines dark and their weapons silent. The Indomitable moved slowly among the disabled vessels. Commander Somin's voice came over the comm again. "This is Commander Somin to all surviving Vorthon personnel. Your ships are disabled but intact. We have not harmed your life support systems. Prepare for rescue operations." Hyunwoo shook his head in amazement. The humans had destroyed an entire fleet but left the crews alive. That kind of precision was almost impossible to believe. Taehyun's voice crackled over the comm. His flagship was one of the 3 disabled ships. "How? Our shields are the strongest in the galaxy. Our weapons are unstoppable." "Your shields were designed 3,000 years ago," Somin replied. "Your weapons are based on technology we gave the galaxy before the Purge. We know exactly how to defeat them because we created them." The truth hit Hyunwoo like a physical blow. Human technology had built the foundation of galactic civilization. When the Purge happened, everyone else had built on that foundation, but the humans had started over from scratch. "What happens now?" Taehyun asked. "Now you go home," Somin said. "You tell the Galactic Council that humanity has returned. You tell them the old ways are ending." A new voice joined the conversation. It was deep and mechanical, clearly artificial. "Commander Somin, this is Tactical Unit Daijung. Phase 2 is ready to begin." Hyunwoo frowned. "Tactical unit? That sounded like a machine, not a person." The space around the disabled Vorthon ships began to shimmer. More human vessels appeared out of nowhere. They had been invisible, hiding with some kind of stealth technology. Dozens of ships surrounded the remains of the Third Fleet. They were smaller than the Indomitable, but moved with the same impossible grace. Each one could probably destroy a Vorthon dreadnought single-handed. "Admiral," Somin continued, "your empire rules through fear. You make people afraid to fight back by showing them your strength. Today we show the galaxy something different." She paused for effect. "We show them hope." The human fleet began broadcasting on all frequencies, not just to the Vorthon survivors, but to every ship and station in the system. To every world in communication range, the broadcasts showed the battle from multiple angles. They showed 50 Vorthon dreadnoughts attacking one human ship. They showed that ship winning without breaking a sweat. But more importantly, they showed what happened after the battle. Human rescue ships moved among the disabled Vorthon vessels. They did not take prisoners or claim salvage rights. They helped repair life support systems. They provided medical aid to injured crew members. They treated their defeated enemies with dignity and respect. This is what strength looks like, Soman announced to the galaxy. True strength protects the weak. True strength shows mercy to the defeated. True strength builds rather than destroys. Reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. Every major world, every space station, every trading post was receiving the broadcasts. The news spread faster than hyperspace could carry it. Captain Minna of the Free Colony Defense Force sent a message to Station Kepler 7. Is it real? Did humans really defeat an entire Vorthon fleet? Director Yunsik replied immediately. It is real. We watched it happen. The Empire's invincible fleet was destroyed in less than an hour. On the mining world of Rexor 4, slaves stopped working to watch the broadcasts. On the trade hub of New Prosperity, merchants began talking about independence for the first time in decades. On 100 worlds, people began to hope. The Vorthon response was swift and brutal. Planet-killer ships moved toward worlds that showed signs of rebellion. The Empire's answer to hope was always the same: fear. But something had changed. For the first time in 3,000 years, people had seen the Vorthons lose. Really lose. Hyunwoo opened a channel to the Indomitable. Commander Soman, this is Captain Hyunwoo of the Silver Current. Captain, Soman replied. Thank you for staying to witness this. Why did you want witnesses? Because someone has to tell the story, Soman said. Someone has to carry the news to every corner of the galaxy. The Vorthons are not invincible. They can be defeated, Hyunwoo understood. He was not just a witness. He was a messenger. The human fleet began to form up for departure. But before they left, Soman made one final broadcast. People of the galaxy, hear us now. The age of fear is ending. The age of freedom is beginning. We do not ask you to follow us. We do not ask you to worship us. We ask only that you remember what you saw here today. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice carried across the stars like thunder. No empire lasts forever. No tyrant rules eternal, and no people stays enslaved if they choose to be free. The human ships vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind only the disabled Vorthon vessels and the asteroid field where everything had changed. Hyunwoo set course for the nearest trade route. He had stories to tell and news to carry. The galaxy was about to learn that the impossible had become possible. Humanity had returned and nothing would ever be the same. News of the Third Fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Captain Hyunwoo had never seen anything like it. Every spaceport, every trading station, every colonial world buzzed with excitement and fear. The Silver Current had become something unexpected, a pilgrimage site. Ships from dozens of worlds came to hear Hyunwoo tell his story. He described the battle in the asteroid field over and over again. Each time his audience grew larger. Tell us about the weapons, asked Captain Minna of the Free Colony Defense Force. She had arrived at Trading Post Gamma 7 with 3 escort ships. Her people had been fighting Vorthon expansion for years. They did not just destroy the ships, Hyunwoo explained. They erased them, turned 2-kilometer dreadnoughts into dust in seconds. And the human fleet size? Minna pressed. I only saw 12 ships, Hyunwoo said. But Commander Soman talked like there were many more. Around the table, representatives from independent worlds leaned forward. These were people who had lived under Vorthon threats their entire lives. For the first time, they dared to hope. But hope came with a price. Hyunwoo's comm unit buzzed with an emergency message. The text made his blood run cold. Vorthon planet killer fleet en route to Rylan Prime. Arrival in 72 hours. Population 400 million. Minna saw his expression. What is it? Hyunwoo showed her the message. Minna's face went pale. The Rylan Republic voted to leave the Galactic Council yesterday. This is the Empire's answer. More messages flooded in. Planet killer fleets were moving toward a dozen worlds. The Vorthons were making examples. Anyone who dared to hope would watch their homeworld burn. We have to warn them, someone said. Warn them of what? Another voice replied. Planet killers are unstoppable. The Rylans have no defense against that kind of firepower. Hyunwoo stood up. Maybe they do not need to defend themselves. Everyone looked at him. He activated his long-range comm and sent a message on the frequency Commander Somin had given him. It was a simple message, help needed. Innocent people dying. The reply came within minutes. Message received. Help is coming. 3 days later, the galaxy watched in amazement as history repeated itself. The Vorthan planet killer fleet arrived at Rylan Prime right on schedule. 5 massive vessels dropped out of hyperspace in high orbit. Each ship carried weapons that could crack a planet's crust and boil its oceans. Admiral Kexthor commanded the fleet from his flagship, the World Breaker. He was Kexmar's older brother and just as cruel. His orders were simple: destroy the Rylan homeworld and leave no survivors. Citizens of Rylan Prime. His voice boomed across the planet's communication networks. You have defied the Galactic Council. You have rejected lawful authority. Your punishment is extinction. 400 million Rylans waited for death. Instead, they got salvation. The human fleet arrived like avenging angels. Not 12 ships this time, but 50. They emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their silver hulls gleaming in the light of Rylan's sun. Commander Somin's voice cut across all frequencies. Vorthon Fleet, this is the United Earth Liberation Force. You will power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Kexthor laughed. 50 ships against 5 planet killers? You cannot protect everyone, humans. We will simply find another target. No, Somin replied. You will not. That was when the impossible happened again. The human ships began to multiply. More vessels appeared out of hyperspace. Then more. They kept coming in waves, like a silver tide washing across the star system. Hyunwoo watched the battle from his ship, which was now part of an impromptu refugee convoy. His sensors could barely count the human vessels. 100, 200, 500. How many ships do they have? Minna whispered. The answer came from an unexpected source. On Rylan Prime, someone had broken into the planetary communication system. A voice spoke with the accent of the Outer Rim worlds. My name is Heywan. I was born a slave on Vorthan mining world Kef 9. For 30 years, I dug metals from the deep tunnels while my masters grew rich. The voice paused, and when it continued, it was stronger. 3 days ago, human ships came to my world. They did not conquer us. They freed us. They gave us weapons. They gave us ships. They gave us hope. Across the galaxy, people stopped what they were doing to listen. The humans are not invaders, Heywan continued. They are liberators. For 3,000 years, they have been preparing, not just building ships and weapons, but building a plan to free every slave, protect every innocent, and end the Empire's reign of terror. On his command ship, Kexthor watched his sensors in growing horror. The human fleet was not just big. It was massive beyond comprehension. Over 1,000 ships now surrounded his 5 planet killers. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was that more ships kept arriving. Not just human vessels, but ships from freed worlds, former slaves who had been given weapons and training, colonial defense forces that had joined the Liberation Fleet. The Empire had created its own worst enemy. Every world they oppressed, every people they enslaved, every life they destroyed had created another reason for rebellion. This ends now, Somin announced. All Vorthon vessels will surrender or be destroyed. Kexthor made the same mistake his brother had made. He ordered his fleet to attack. Planet killer weapons were designed to destroy worlds, not fight starships. They were slow, heavily armored, and incredibly powerful. Against the human fleet, they might as well have been sitting still. The first planet killer died when a human ship simply flew through it. The massive vessel split in half like it was made of paper. The human ship emerged from the other side without a scratch. The second planet killer tried to run. Human ships surrounded it and fired simultaneously. The vessel vanished in a flash of light. The remaining 3 ships lasted less than 10 minutes. When the battle ended, Rylan Prime was safe. 400 million people celebrated in the streets, but the real celebration was happening across the galaxy. Commander Yunji led the liberation of Kef 9. Her special forces teams had been training freed slaves for months. They knew exactly how to disable Vorthon control systems and free imprisoned populations. Captain Seok Jin, now commanding a captured Vorthon cruiser, broadcast liberation instructions to every slave world in the Outer Rim. The guards cannot stop you if you work together. The fences cannot hold you if you all push at once. On New Prosperity, the trade hub that had always remained neutral, merchants began openly defying Vorthon trade restrictions. When patrol ships came to arrest them, they found human vessels waiting in escort. But the real shock came from an unexpected source. Admiral Jun Ho appeared on every communication channel in the galaxy. He wore the uniform of the United Earth Fleet, But his message was not about military victory. "People of the galaxy," he said, "we know you are afraid. Change is always frightening. But we want you to understand something important." Behind him, the holographic display showed not weapons or warships, but something else entirely. Cities, massive, beautiful cities floating in space. "These are our homes," Junho continued. "We have built hundreds of worlds in the outer rim. Not planets stripped of resources, but true homes where people live in freedom and prosperity." The display showed more images, humans and aliens working together in massive shipyards, children of a dozen species playing in parks under artificial suns, scientists from every corner of the galaxy sharing knowledge and discoveries. "We do not want to rule you," Junho said. "We want to join you. We want to build something better than empire, something better than fear." He paused, and his next words echoed across 1,000 worlds. "We want to build a future where every being can reach their potential, where strength protects the weak instead of exploiting them, where progress serves all people, not just the powerful." The response was immediate and overwhelming. The Thurok Consortium announced their withdrawal from the Galactic Council. The Zephyri clans declared independence from Vorthon oversight. Even some Vorthon colonies began demanding self-rule. But the Empire was not finished. In the depths of Vorthon space, ancient weapons were being activated. War Chief Graktos, leader of the brutal Vorthon military caste, had been given unlimited authority to end the human threat. His solution was simple. If the humans wanted to protect everyone, he would threaten everyone. Planet killer fleets began moving toward every major world in the galaxy, not just rebellious colonies but neutral worlds, trade hubs, even worlds that still supported the Empire. The message was clear. Surrender or watch the galaxy burn. Hyunwoo received the news while docked at Trading Post Gamma 7. Hundreds of planet killer ships were moving at once. The humans were powerful, but could they be everywhere at the same time? His comm unit buzzed with an incoming message. It was from Commander Somin. "Captain Hyunwoo, we need your help. What can I do?" He replied. "I am just a trader." "You are more than that," Somin said. "You are someone people trust. Someone who has seen both sides of this war. We need you to carry a message." "What message?" "That the final battle is coming. That everyone must choose a side. And that no matter what happens, freedom is worth fighting for." Hyunwoo looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the fate of the galaxy was being decided. He powered up his ship's engines and set course for the core worlds. He had a message to deliver. The space above Dominion Prime had never seen such a gathering. The Vorthon homeworld hung like a gray marble against the black void, surrounded by the largest fleet in galactic history. War Chief Graktos commanded over 5,000 ships from his massive fortress ship, the Iron Throne. Planet killers formed the core of his fleet, supported by every dreadnought, cruiser, and destroyer the Empire could gather. But even that was not his greatest weapon. Orbital stations around Dominion Prime housed the galaxy crackers, ancient weapons that could destroy entire star systems. The Vorthons had built them after the Great Purge to ensure no one could ever threaten their homeworld. "Let the humans come," Graktos growled to his officers. "When they see their precious liberation fleet burning, the galaxy will remember who truly rules." Captain Hyunwoo watched the approaching battle from the bridge of the Silver Current. He was not alone. Hundreds of independent ships had come to witness the final confrontation. Traders, colonists, refugees. Everyone wanted to see how this war would end. Admiral Somin's voice came over the comm channels. She was no longer just a commander. The human fleet had grown so large that she needed the rank to coordinate it properly. "All ships. This is Admiral Somin of the United Earth Liberation Fleet. We go now to end 3,000 years of tyranny. Remember, we fight not for conquest, but for freedom." The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in waves. First came the warships, sleek vessels like the Indomitable that could tear through Vorthon dreadnoughts like paper. Then came the support ships carrying freed slaves who had volunteered to fight for their liberation. But the real shock was the size of the fleet. 10,000 ships. 20,000. 50,000. Hyunwoo stared at his sensors in disbelief. The human fleet was larger than anything in recorded history. Where had they all come from? The answer came from Admiral Junho, whose voice broadcast across the galaxy. "People of all worlds, you see before you the true strength of freedom. Every ship in this fleet represents a choice. A choice to stand up to tyranny. A choice to protect the innocent, A choice to build something better. The display showed the fleet's composition. Yes, there were human vessels with their impossible technology. But most of the ships came from freed worlds, former Vorthon colonies that had risen in rebellion, independent traders who had joined the cause. Even some Vorthon ships whose crews had refused to fight for the Empire. This is not conquest, Junho continued. This is liberation. And liberation is not something we give to you, it is something we do together. Graktos responded with typical Vorthon brutality. Attention, rebel fleet. Surrender now or watch as we demonstrate the price of defiance. The galaxy crackers powered up. These weapons were beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. They could shatter planets, collapse stars, and turn entire systems into radioactive waste. The Vorthons had used them only once before to destroy a rebel stronghold and everyone in the neighboring systems. You have 10 minutes to surrender, Graktos announced. After that, we will start with your homeworlds and work our way through every planet that supported your rebellion. The Liberation Fleet stopped its advance. For long moments, space was silent except for the hum of charging weapons. Then Admiral Somin spoke. War Chief Graktos, thank you for reminding us why we fight. That was when the impossible happened one final time. Space itself began to change around Dominion Prime. Massive structures emerged from hyperspace. Not ships, but entire space stations. They were beautiful and terrible, covered in the same flowing patterns as human vessels but larger than anything ever built. What are those? Someone whispered over the comm. Admiral Junho provided the answer. Meet our real fleet, the Guardians. We built them during our exile to protect our new worlds. Today they protect everyone. The Guardian stations moved with purpose. Energy shields larger than planets unfolded around them. Weapons that made galaxy crackers look like toys powered up along their hulls. Graktos fired everything he had. The galaxy crackers released enough energy to sterilize solar systems. Planet killers added their firepower. 5,000 Vorthon ships fired at once. The Guardian stations absorbed it all, not just blocked it or deflected it. Absorbed it. The energy weapons fed power directly into the human defensive systems. Impossible, Graktos breathed. 3,000 years, Somin replied. 3,000 years of preparation. Did you think we spent that time hiding in fear? The real battle began. Human ships moved through the Vorthon fleet like dancers. Their weapons did not just destroy enemy vessels. They disabled them with surgical precision. Bridge systems failed. Weapons powered down. Life support remained intact. Commander Yunji led boarding parties that secured disabled ships. Her teams had studied Vorthon technology for decades. They knew exactly how to take control without harming the crews. Captain Minna commanded a squadron of former Free Colony ships. They worked with human vessels to establish safe zones where Vorthon crews could surrender without shame. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Captain Seok-jin, still commanding his captured cruiser, broadcast on Vorthon military frequencies. Soldiers of the Empire, listen to me. I was born on a Vorthon world. I served in the Imperial Navy for 20 years. His words reached thousands of Vorthon ships. I know what they taught us. That conquest brings order. That strength justifies cruelty. That the Empire must expand or die. He paused, and when he continued, his voice carried absolute conviction. They lied to us. I have seen the human worlds. I have seen what real strength looks like. Strength that protects instead of destroys. Strength that builds instead of conquers. Across the Vorthon fleet, something unprecedented began to happen. Ships stopped firing. Crews began to surrender. Entire squadrons switched sides rather than continue fighting for a system that had brought nothing but misery to the galaxy. Graktos watched his fleet collapse around him. Traitors, cowards, fight or I will execute every one of you. But his threats rang hollow. Too many Vorthons had seen the alternative. They had watched human ships rescue enemy crews. They had heard stories of freed worlds where former slaves worked alongside their former masters as equals. The Iron Throne found itself alone, abandoned by its own fleet. This ends now, Admiral Somin announced. The Guardian stations moved into position around the massive fortress ship. Energy beams reached out to touch the vessel's hull. But instead of destroying it, they did something else entirely. The Iron Throne's weapon system simply shut down. Its shields collapsed. Its engines went dark. In seconds, the most powerful warship in Vorthon history became nothing more than a metal shell drifting in space. Graktos raged over the comm channels. You cannot defeat us. The Empire is eternal. We will rise again. No, said a new voice. You will not. Admiral Taehyun appeared on the communication screen. The former commander of the Third Fleet stood in what looked like a human ship's bridge. War Chief, Taehyun said formally, by authority of the Vorthan High Command, I am placing you under arrest for crimes against the Empire and crimes against the galaxy. Behind him stood other Vorthan officers. They wore modified uniforms with new insignia. The old Empire dies today, Taehyun continued, but the Vorthan people will live on as part of something greater. The surrender was swift after that. Orbital defenses powered down. Planetary shields collapsed. On the surface of Dominion Prime, crowds gathered to watch the end of their empire, but there was no occupation. No conquest, no revenge. Instead, human ships began broadcasting across all frequencies, not propaganda or demands, but something else entirely. Educational programs, technical manuals, historical records. We offer knowledge, Admiral Soman announced. Everything we learned during our exile. Medical advances that can extend lifespans. Agricultural techniques that can feed billions. Technologies that can restore damaged worlds. She paused, and her next words would be remembered for generations. We offer partnership, not as rulers and subjects, but as equals working toward a common future. 6 months later, Captain Hyunwoo docked at New Terra Station. The massive space habitat orbited a restored world that had once been a Vorthan slave colony. Now it was humanity's first public embassy to the galaxy. The docking bay buzzed with activity. Ships from hundreds of worlds came and went freely. Humans worked alongside Rilani, Thurok, Zephyri, and even reformed Vorthans. Hyunwoo made his way to the observation deck. Through the massive windows, he could see children playing in the station's parks. They were all different species, but they played the same games and shared the same laughter. Admiral So Min found him there. She had traded her military uniform for civilian clothes, though she still carried herself with quiet authority. Any regrets? Hyunwoo asked. So Min smiled. About ending the war? Never. About what comes next? That's up to all of us. They watched as a new ship docked at the station. It was a joint venture. Human technology combined with Thurok engineering and Rilani design aesthetics. The crew that emerged was equally mixed. The galaxy is changing, Soman observed. Faster than anyone expected. Change is good, Hyunwoo replied, as long as people remain free to choose their own path. That's the point, Soman said. Freedom isn't something you achieve once and then keep forever. It's something you have to choose every day, something you have to protect every day.